Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to Cam's Retro Gaming. Really appreciate you watching. So this is my very first pickups video, and just want to say also, before I get started, thanks for all the views and comments and subscribers. Really do appreciate it. This is, like I said, very old school. This is going to be one take, and just talk about games I like in a very sort of fun and kind of old school YouTube way, and hopefully you guys will get a kick out of it. And thanks for those of you who have watched so far. So this is probably these are my pickups from about 3 months, before Christmas until now, and nothing too spectacular, but I did acquire some things that I'm kind of excited about. And like a lot of you guys, I'm kind of good for games, actual games for the most part. I certainly have more games than I can actually play probably in my lifetime, but I also like to get extra, quote unquote, extracurricular stuff, some more adjacent stuff like guides and magazines and whatnot. So we'll kind of get to those too. But we'll start off to what I'm actually playing currently. And this is old news to everybody on the planet, but Fallout 4. I didn't realize this is essentially, a lot of the same, I guess the same developer, Bethesda, but very similar to one of my favorite games of all time, Skyrim. And in just kind of overall general feel of the game. The music's similar, just a great game. And unfortunately, the download code was used. I purchased this used, and I tried to download just the DLC by itself, but there's a glitch that I found out in this game, that if you try to just download the, for example, I've been playing this on the disc. If I wanted to just get the Game of the Year edition online, which was on sale before Christmas, I couldn't use my save file with it. So I have to buy like the season pass. I don't know what this season pass stuff is. I'm so behind the times, so I have to pay more. So I'm just going to not worry about that now. But this game in general is just a super fun game, open world, very addicting, and having a lot of fun with it. So until Skyrim 2 comes out, or the Elder Scrolls, whatever, 6, I guess. This will be what I'm playing. All right. So next, we'll continue on with the games. I just picked this one up today, and it's not every day you pick up a 32X game you don't have. And I have about half of the U.S. releases, maybe a little bit more, but Metalhead, which is not a good game, and that's why I haven't purchased it. But if you see a 32X game in the wild that you need for $5, I'm going to pick it up. So I had the 32X as a kid. I bought it when it was basically phased out, and got it for really cheap, new at KB Toys in the mall. And this is one of the games I had with it, and it was, even back then, kind of like kind of a cool mech game, but really, really, really blocky and actually not that great. So, but 32X game, I'm gonna buy it. Okay. I'm also trying to complete the original Game Boy set, but like I said, very casually while I was going home to visit my family, and I ended up picking this guy up on the way. Did a little game hunting on the way back, and I needed Last Action Hero. This one was $20. It was one of those things I wanted to kind of make it worth my while to stop, so I grabbed this one. I'm like 150-ish games away from, maybe a little bit more, from the original Game Boy set, but there's a lot, and like I said, I'm really casually doing it because it's not something I'm like have to have anytime soon. So, next is NAMM 1975 for the Neo Geo CD. Long time ago, I purchased this brand new on the AES when it was really cheap from the Neo store back in 2006 or 7, I think. My AES console is long gone, but I always kind of wanted to get this back, and I wasn't going to pay the new price for the MVS version because the prices have gone crazy. So this was maybe around 100, which seems ridiculous for a launch title, but this is a fun game. I wanted to get it, and it's kind of wacky, sort of like the Punisher. Like, it's like one of those kind of crosshair things where the screen scrolls from left to right. But really fun game. I enjoy it. And let's see, this is a fun acquisition here. Waku Waku 7 for the, there you go, for the Sega Saturn. This is a Neo Geo game, but you know, I'm not going to pay the Neo Geo price if I can find it for really cheap, which I did. I think it was like $10, because one of my local stores, they don't really, it's a sort of a media store. They don't differentiate a whole lot with imports because they just don't know what it is. So this is a really crazy fighting game and a lot cheaper on the Saturn. And if it's on the Saturn, and say I have to choose between the Neo Geo and the Saturn is typically a lot cheaper and the ports are fine. I like the Saturn controller a lot, so I'll just go with the Saturn version. I'm not going to pay for the MVS cart. So, and I'm always trying to find some light gun games, and I think this is one of them. Boy, I hope it is. Hope the light gun is compatible. But Maximum Force, which I think is sort of the unofficial sequel to Area 51, one of those Midway digitized character games, but of course the case is messed up, but no big deal. I'll get a new case for it. Like I said, always trying to find new light gun games, so that's for the PlayStation 1. Okay, so here we go, and this is sort of, like I said, adjacent. I'm always looking for relevant strategy guides or Nintendo powers, any sort of like, you know, this kind of stuff. So I love Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. I remember purchasing this way back in the day when I worked at Target on the 64. And then I eventually rebought it on the Dreamcast, but I've always loved this game. And this was really cheap. Boy, it was really cheap. I guess it was 99 cents back when it was probably purchased at Babbage's or something originally. But Episode 1 Racer is a great game, super underrated. And cool to have a strategy guide, because I didn't know there's a tons of like extra sort of, I guess I knew, but there are a lot of like sort of hidden tracks or hidden sort of, you know, ways to get ahead, etc. So I can't talk today. So that's that. And speaking of Fallout 4, I've been playing that obviously, and oddly enough, I've not used this yet, but here's the strategy guide for it. And it tells you, I don't think it's like very well organized in my opinion, but I guess it's pretty much everything you need and all the different items and whatnot. But I don't like to study these kinds of games or these kinds of guides too much, because I don't want to give anything away, but if I'm having trouble, I'll reference it. And when I finish a game, I like to keep this as like a keepsake. It's more interesting than just having the game on the shelf. Like I said, for modern games, I don't really collect or keep like PS4, PS3. If I've already played it, I'll typically just sell it, unless I know I'm going to play it again. So, Vault Dweller Survival Guide. And Deus Ex Mankind Divided. This is the sequel to the PS3 Deus Ex game, which I really enjoyed. And it's crazy how cheap that game is. It was only like $3. So I found this. I think this is for the PS4. I may be wrong, but I think it is, yeah. So, sequel to the Deus Ex game for PS3. I'm looking forward to playing it. And here's the limited edition guide, so why not? And finally, probably what I'm most excited about, this stack of Nintendo powers. I found this at one of my local places, and they were individually priced, so they had actually probably at least twice as many of these, but I couldn't justify spending, hundreds of dollars on magazines. So I kind of went through and picked out the ones that were relevant to me or that had great covers. Maybe occasionally a great poster, although I'm not going to take the posters out. But this is number 54, Secret of Mana on the cover. And, these are just gold, So I'll eventually try to get a bunch more of these, but like I said, only if they're the price is right, because they can get kind of expensive. Then we got Mortal Kombat 2 on the cover, volume 64. Lots of cool strategies for those games. What's cool is they'll show Game Boy games. There's Pocky and Rocky. Killer Instinct. And let's see what else is here. Tasmania. You know, just lots of cool stuff. This must be for some RPG. Making of Donkey Kong Country, that's really cool. Oh yeah, this is Secret of Mana, of course, the cover. And I'm sorry, cover of that one, but so that's cool. Stuff like that, guys, because I like to use guides on, you know, in paper. Nintendo Power. This is just a killer cover. Adventures of Batman and Robin. 95, volume 68. This is 42, Super Star Wars, Super Mario Land 2 preview. Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. As a kid, it was the only game I ever called a hotline for, and I felt stupid doing it once I figured it out, but I was young. Earthworm Jim. What a great cover. Volume 67. Ooh, Samurai Showdown. You know, just great stuff. Let's see. Empire Strikes Back. 53. I mean, just great stuff. A lot of these I picked out either because, like I said, the cover, or there was something in here that I was actually interested in using, like a guide. I won't go through all of these. Illusion of Gaia, number 65. That's a great cover. I tried to take some of these labels off, but they weren't coming off. So that's just sort of a... Tom Wyatt, thanks again for selling all your Nintendo Powers. Oops. Star Fox. Great cover. 47. Now this one, some of these were more expensive. I think they were typically around $6. Some were more. Some were like up to 10 or 15. This one was one of the more expensive ones because it advertised Link to the Past. I mean, amazing stuff here. I wonder if there's... Here we go, number 83. That's one of my favorite Super Nintendo games. Pardon the laundry in the background. There it is, right there. Well, it shows all the items. Overall the map. Great stuff. This is probably my absolute favorite of the covers of the ones I got. So, and Link's Awakening is one of my favorite games on the Game Boy, and just one of my favorite Zelda games in general, or I guess games in general. I mean, that looks just amazing, that owl and the gold. And this is number 50. And then let's do a poster of this. Oh, forgot. This has some pretty cool... Are these like temporary tattoos or something? Are they... Oh, yeah. Temporary tattoos. They're wearing those to the club. Super Metroid. Number 60. New Super Game Boy. That's kind of neat. Advertise that. Knights of the Round. It's cool. Great game. Donkey Kong. One of my favorite Game Boy games. 61. I've really enjoyed that game a lot. Super underrated game. Now, Super Mario Kart. I could not have turned this one down. I mean, geez, so cool. Cool that this, you know, just to think about, this was a brand new thing, and in the early days, number 41. TMNT 3. This is an earlier one, number 3. I'm sorry, volume 33. This is more like Nintendo stuff too. Here we go, Donkey Kong Country, number 66, one of my favorite games. One of these had like a shirt transfer in it. I'm not sure which one it is, but there was like a Donkey Kong shirt transfer. Now this is pretty incredible, number 31, Metroid, so that's for the Game Boy. Very old Nintendo Power. And then, after the Nintendo Powers, I picked up some more strategy guides. Forgot about these. Legend of Dragoon. Haven't played it yet, but I intend to, and I have it for the PlayStation. So this guide will come in handy if I get stuck. And these are really cool. These are made by Nintendo Power, I think, or published by Nintendo Power. Or by Nintendo, I don't know. I guess one and the same. But Super Game Boy, so this is a lot of just hints for the Game Boy games that are compatible with Super Game Boy. And I love the Game Boy. There's that. And then the Game Boy Player's Guide. Over 130 games. This is just super cool. So it has some strategies, but also I think in the back it just lists, this is so cool, lists like all the Game Boy games at the time maybe, and just a description of each one. Very cool. And I'm not the biggest NES fan. Well, as an adult, it's one of those things, like, I'm not super nostalgic for, I am nostalgic for it, but it's one of those things I'm more nostalgic than sort of like wanting to play it a whole lot. I mean, I love the Nintendo, but the 16-bit era was more where I really enjoyed the gaming the most. But you know, of course, my first console was a Nintendo, and played a lot of Mario, and discovered the Warp on my own just by accident. Not that that's anything groundbreaking, but as a kid, it was like crazy, you know, to think you could do stuff like that in games. But you know, stuff like this is just gold, man. So strategies for lots of great games on the Nintendo. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching this video. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I don't buy a ton of stuff these days, but whenever I kind of get a nice set of items, I'll show them off. If I, you know, run into some must-haves. But thanks for watching, and if you guys have any videos you'd like to see in the future as far as my collection, you know, maybe certain collections, please let me know and leave me comments down below. Until then, thanks for watching, and have a great weekend.